Welcome, everybody, to Tammy Tuesday, the podcast of life, love, and purpose. I am super excited about our guest today to get to know him better and to understand deeper what he does, which is an astro-numerologist, Lloyd Strayhorn. Lloyd, thank you so much for being here. I'm thrilled to have you.
Thank you, Tammy. Likewise, I'm pleasure to join you.
Oh, good. Thank you. So I have been very excited about this conversation because I've expressed to you, and a lot of people know that, and for many people, numbers are really affect everybody in our everyday lives. And, you know, sometimes we get messages through numbers. Sometimes we understand our life purpose and next phases and different things in our lives around numbers. There's so much to this. It's such an amazing topic. So I want to start by talking to you about how did you get into this? Because first of all, you take it to another level with, the astrology side, and you really combine the two. And so there's more to it than just the numbers and what it means. So talk about a little bit how you got into this, because everybody has a path. So I want to know, how did this start for you? What happened?
Well, you know what's interesting, Tammy? I was the worst math student in school. Had somebody said, Lloyd, you would make a living, write books, and doing every radio, TV show around the country, I'd have said, yeah, right. But what happened is I was shy in school, shy around the girls. And what happens is I came across this subject known as astrology. I found out I was an Aquarius. Well, I went down the rabbit hole reading everything I could about my sign, that we were great, this, that, and the other. But I come to find out as I went along this journey that everybody is interested in themselves, regardless of what sign or what number they're under. So I got very much into astrology. Then later on, about 10 or 15 years later, I was introduced to this subject quite by accident from a young lady says, do you know about numerology? And I says, no, it was foreign to me. And then when I went for CBS TV at that time, they had a book division called whatever the name is, I can't recall it offhand, but the point is the first book I got on numerology was Vincent Lopez's Numerology. Now, Vincent Lopez used to be a famous orchestra leader in the day, but he wrote a book on numerology. So now I have literally hundreds and hundreds of books on the subject. And in fact, I've written 6 books myself, 4 of which appear on Amazon.
Right. I have one right here. You sent this to me, and
Yes.
I have to tell you, this book, it's called Numbers and You, and I highly recommend it. It's such a great guide for beginners who are looking to understand some of the rhymes and reasons behind the numbers of our birthday and our, where we live. And I mean, every piece that has because numbers are a universal language.
You can't do anything without numbers.
Exactly.
Imagine, when I would lecture the guys, right, I said, suppose you met the most beautiful young lady in the world and you want to know her better and ask for her phone number. And she responds, well, just call any number. Well, a guy will be calling from here until eternity. Mm-hmm. But if you got the right 10 numbers, dial it in the right order, you get the right person you're looking for.
That's a beautiful analogy because it zeroes in that specific. It's that specific, those numbers, they're exact.
Yeah. Yeah, and just computers alone are based on the principle of just ones and zeros. We're not counting the other 8 numbers from 2 to 9. So numbers got us in every kind of way they do. Medically, if you go to a doctor, they will look at those numbers and tell you whether your cholesterol is normal, your blood pressure is normal. If you go to a dentist, each tooth in your mouth is assigned a number, so the dental assistant would know where to look when the dentist instruct the assistant to help. If you go to your accountant, they will tell you whether you're going to owe some money or you're going to get back some money. And what do they tell you nowadays? Don't give out your PIN number. Don't give out your social security number. Little things like that. So numbers guide us. And imagine in the world of sports. I'm not a sports person, but everything is predicated upon sports. And for an athlete to have his or her number retired from the franchise is the ultimate honor.
Right.
So who knows the score if you don't have numbers? So numbers are part and parcel. In fact, during the pandemic, I gave a bet. They had these things that came out, how long can you hold your breath and all this other stuff. Well, mine was, I have $100 bill for you. All you got to do is tell me when you get up in the morning, how you're going to begin and end your day without using numbers. It's impossible.
Wow, it's true. We don't think about that, but it's true.
Yeah. the tendency is to look at what time it is.
Yes.
You either want to make a call, get a call, you want to buy coffee or chocolate or something. If you're in an elevator, you push a button, you may need to get some gas. Everything you do are numbers. And I told those smart Alex, no, 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 don't stay in bed all day. Just get up and go around a normal day. You can't, you got to look at numbers.
That's
but numbers
right.
are going to look at you.
That's amazing. Okay, so go into this a little bit further because I love that you said you're an Aquarius. So I have two Aquariuses in my life, in my home. My husband and one of my children is an Aquarius. And so anyway, I love, it makes perfect sense that you would go into this just given your sign, because that's, like you said, that's just it's just kind of, you're a free spirit. You do what you do, right? And so that being said, so you started learning about that and then this number thing. So when you started reading these books and learning about the meaning behind the numbers, what started to happen for you? Because I'm sure you had some sort of experience of your own that really took you even further down the rabbit hole that now has gotten to where you are today. I mean, you've written books about it. You've spoken. I mean, you've been featured on, large networks with big people. Talk about that. I mean, you're a very big deal with what you've done.
Well, what happens is the first 7 years, I just practiced on me. I would read my mom, my dad, my children, and whatnot. By the way, you have two Aquarius in your family. I have two Capricorns in my family, so that's a nice exchange. So the point is, and so once I felt comfortable enough, then I ventured out. And by venturing it out, then I says, well, could I teach on the subject? And the more I taught, the more I learned. And then the reason why the title Numbers in You came along, because people said, well, what about a car? What about colors? What about jewels? What about relationships? And so what I did, because I'm born on the 16th is the 7th, and 7s love research. They love to go down the rabbit hole. I came up with this thing, and so that's my title, Numbers in You. And so my book is dedicated to all the people that ask me questions about things. And numbers are actually fascinating. So when people talk about angel numbers, you have angel numbers. Your husband, your children, your family, we all have angel numbers. And I show people how to find it because, there's that saying, this person was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Well, my goal and objective is always to make sure you're in the right place at the right time in harmony with the universe.
Yeah, well, it's powerful. I mean, and that's a very real thing. So, okay, so for example, for me, one of the angel numbers that first presented itself, which a lot of people have a lot of the same numbers, which is fours are very big for me, 3 4s. So 4s are very big for me, but I mean, then I go through waves where all of a sudden I'm seeing all 7s or I'm seeing all 1s, and it's all these different messages at different times for different purposes. So let's just start with something basic, like somebody's birthday. There's like, just like in when you read somebody's astrology chart, which we've talked about here with Eric, and I've had other guests that talk about that. It's a chart. It's your soul chart that you can read, and you can look at what your soul came here to do, and it's like your map of your life, right? So numbers are part of that. So starting with something basic like your birthday, how does that tie in? How do you read that?
Well, what happens is the month, the day, and the year you're born tells me why you're here. The term they use in my profession is destiny number, life path number, birth path number. However, when I meet people, the layperson who may not understand the jargon that I use in my field, I says the month, the day, and the year you're born tells me what grade you are in the school of life. And how I do it is simply this. I took this person's birthday, and I put the month at the top, the birthday underneath. Then I put the year underneath it, added my lines, and added across to 12, and 1 plus 2 is 3. So thus, the term they would use is say, well, you have a 3 destiny, 3 life path, birth path. What I do is I says, your month, day, and year says you're in the 3rd grade in the school of life. Now, we all know and heard this phrase, the school of life, what we are here to learn. Well, I'm saying it in a more layman's term. And so people in the 3rd grade are normally very creative. They're very ambitious. They're very imaginative. They're very expressive. They're very well-liked. They're very popular. They rule foreigners, foreign countries, foreign languages. They are international. They have a gift with children. They're very determined to succeed. They govern the arts, and the list goes on. They will attract Pisces in their lives and Sagittarians in their lives, or anybody born on the 3rd, the 12th, the 21st, or the 30th of the month. And people in the 3rd grade normally have a lot of ambition. The one thing to tell a 3 person, or I should say the one thing not to tell a number 3 person in the third grade is you can't do this and you can't do that. And the person in the third grade, as it says, okay, you watch and see what I'm going to do.
That's
You know what
right.
I'm saying? They're fun to be with. They're expressive. They love to talk. They're very expressive. They're organic flirts. And it's just organic. They're not brazen or trying to go overboard. It's just, they just got a good people skills. And they're very determined to succeed.
Right.
And they're very conscientious. If they say they're going to do something, it's like taking money to the bank.
Oh yeah, that's very true. I mean,
And
obviously.
I thought it was interesting because you were born on the 30th. 3 plus 0 is 3. You
Hmm.
talked about how you see 3 fours. Well, 4 plus 4 plus 4 is 12, which is 3.
Yes, I
Let's
already
say
saw
you
that.
saw 3 sevens. Well, 7, 14, 21, which is a 3.
I
So I just found it
know.
interesting to me.
And 111 is 3.
Exactly.
Those are the ones that are consistent in my life, and they have been consistent in my life, and I constantly notice them. But it is fascinating. Again, those are the things that they're just, it's like they're codes, they're messages,
Yes.
they're paths, they're things to notice. It's really fun for me because when people, the thing that I've noticed, at least I've noticed in my path, and I've noticed in people that kind of all of a sudden have a new awareness and have sort of they're awakening, right? We all have an awakening moment.
Mm-hmm.
And usually it seems that most people, the first thing they notice after that happens is numbers. They're like, why am I seeing all these triple numbers? Why? And then they start looking it up and they say, okay, these are angel numbers. What do they mean? So it's funny because when I see people all of a sudden, like you say, layman's terms, all of a sudden they're on another level because they've investigated and they're learning more about this, then
Mm-hmm.
they start to see more and more of it. So in your experience, when do people typically come to you? Is it when they're on a spiritual path and they're trying to understand the roadmap and the numbers that they're seeing? Where do you intersect with most people when they come to you?
Well, what is fascinating, they either come about relationships or career. So
Mm.
it's either romance or finance, finance or romance.
Wow.
Then there's that rare food that know for some reason they can't put their finger on it, that they're here on a spiritual journey, a spiritual mission, that they, and so my role is to begin to interpret it in a way that makes sense to them. I am a pragmatic person. I'm born in New York City, where there are 8 million people on Manhattan Island. And so everybody is very practical. So I could talk these lofty terms, but to the average New Yorker, yeah, what does that mean? So what it did was it taught me how to be very, very simple in my presentation. Now, if I'm around my metaphysical colleagues, I could talk all these flamboyant terms and it sounds all good and like professional. But I'm dealing with the layperson who know nothing about it, but they need help. And
Yes.
my goal, I do not pass judgment. That is not my role. My role is to interpret the numbers, how to guide them, and to understand. Because, see, not only these numbers have angelic numbers assigned to it, but they have angelic days and angelic dates and months. And so, what I've done is I've learned how to combine both the science of astrology and numerology. Although, ironically, Tammy, numerology is older than astrology. And a person will say, of course, you're going to say that, Lloyd, you're a numerologist. But let me explain. If a person goes to an astrologer, they must give that astrologer a certain piece of information, all in numbers. They must give them the month they were born, the day they're born, the year they're born, the time they're born, and the location, which I now call the GPS. Where were the planets in the heavens at the time? This is how we can now get from one location to another. We just punch in the address it in our GPS and it gets us to our destination. Well, we kind of do that too. So, but in order to do that, numbers had to precede this in order for that to happen. So numerology is the older of the two, but astrology is the more popular of the two. So when a person comes to me and says, listen, I'm born December the 30th, my mind says this, you are a Capricorn 3 person. I use the sign first because most people are familiar with the sign, and then I use the number. And then a person will say, well, what does that mean? And I love when they say, what does that mean? Because this is how I come out of New York, where everybody just takes you through the ringer. And it tells me you are an earth sign with a fire number, which means you're very pragmatic, very grounded, like to keep it real. Yet the fire portion of your birthday tells me very passionate about things. When you go in, you are all in, okay? That's how it is. So let's say you like Haagen-Dazs ice cream every night. You will have your Haagen-Dazs ice cream every night.
I do love ice cream.
You know, so and then it tells me a lot. So I know from your birthday, your angel numbers are the 3, 8, and 6. Those are your angel numbers. What does that mean? Well, each number is assigned to a day. That's your angelic days is always on a Thursday first, a Saturday second, and a Friday in that order. So it's not Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It is Thursday first, then Saturday second, then Friday. And then that tells me either just as you have these angelic days, you have angelic dates. So thus the 3rd, the 6th, the 8th of the month, the 12th, the 15th, the 17th of the month, the 21st, 24th, 26th, and 30th of the month, because all those dates I mentioned either added to the single digit of a 3 or a 6 or an 8. Then there's a wider scope, such as the months. So normally your primary months are always in January, March, May, October, and December. And when I tell the client, then I say that means late December as you hit January, late February as you hit March, late April as you hit May, late September as you hit October, and late November as you hit the month of December. Then I'll ask questions. And so the fascinating part to me, Tammy, is I'll give them the pen with the notes on it. And I tell them, underscore anything I ask. So I says, well, what is your mom's birthday? I don't need the year, just the month and day. And what is your dad's birthday? And what are your brothers and sisters' birthday? And what about then as they evolve into relationships or marriage or children or job? And they will see a pattern. And I just ask very general questions. I do not ask any private, intimate, or personal questions. That's none of my business. Like, okay, Tammy, when was that you kissed little Johnny under the steps behind the school? That's not my business. But the point is to get them to think about the events that have taken place in their lives, and they will begin to notice a consistent pattern. And some of the months, so you got 5 months, some people got 4, very few got 6, but you got 5, so that's not bad. And so what those months that underscore the most, those are the months you use to meet your greatest challenges, and those are the same months you use for your biggest accomplishments. Timing is everything.
Yeah.
It makes a difference.
Wow. So, okay, with all of the, okay, I love this because the patterns are huge. That's what people start to see. And that's what you paint the picture of the pattern, right?
Yes, exactly.
So you're not necessarily asking for dates of events other than, like, you start with your relationships, because the relationships you're surrounded by are part of your path. And like your parents or your siblings or your children or your spouse or things like that, they're part of your whole pattern, your whole picture, right?
Yes, and even down to the house number.
Yes.
When did you move into that house? Your car. What month did you buy that car? The year of the car. Where do you work? What's the address of the work? What month you start? I mean, and because I am, as my brother called it, nosy, I'm not nosy. I like to ask lots of questions. But I've learned how to go down the rabbit hole to get my clients to see things that are so obvious yet not. For example, the New York Stock Exchange was founded on May 17th. It is a Taurus. When the stock market is doing well, don't they say the stock market is bullish? I mean, such in your face kind of things that we see but don't see. And then back in the day, during the 80s and 90s, there was a Taurus car. There was an Aries vehicle. I wonder where they got that from. Then they sent the man to the moon, and one of the shuttle was the shuttle Aquarius. Okay. And in fact, the first person to land on the moon, John Glenn, was a Leo. And the second one, Buzz Aldrin, was an Aquarius. So, I mean, it's just fascinating.
It goes on. It's everything and everywhere all the time. I mean, it's truly just, that's the infinite part of this. It's everywhere, always.
Well, that book you're holding is 45 years old. I published that 45 years ago.
Wow.
At the time I published it, it was 180 pages. Now it's grown up 400 pages. It's gone through 2 editions. It's all around the world. I have 7,000 students on every continent on this face of this earth.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
I mean, it's just amazing. And I told them when I published it, it will never get bored.
No.
Because as human beings walk the earth, they're going to be under some sign. They're going to be under some number. But here is the point, Tammy. Everybody wants to know something about themselves. For example, I'll talk to an agnostic that says, I don't believe in this at all. I'll say, well, what's your sign? They say, I'm a Leo. So for somebody that don't believe in this, they know their sign right away.
Exactly.
So it's fascinating to me.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because that could not be more true. It's like, that's why people say people like to hear their names. People like to hear about themselves. So any sort of information or hint or breadcrumb to deeper understanding of themselves, they're interested. Whatever they believe, they are interested. They can't help it.
And see, that's the thing that took me into numerology deeper. Numerology and astrology deals with the birthday, but unlike astrology, numerology deals with your name. So the birthday indicates why you're here, like the pupil, but the name indicates what you know in terms of your natural talents, gifts, skills, and abilities. And in fact, there are two schools of thoughts. There's the Pythagorean school that goes from 1 to 9, and then there's the Chaldean school. The Pythagorean school is known as modern numerology. The Chaldean school is known as mystic numerology because it's the older of the two. So one goes from 1 to 8, one goes from 1 to 9. Well, what is the difference? I'm so glad you asked me, Tammy, because the Pythagorean system says you take the name originally given at birth. So when we come into this world, our parents name us several names, but as a full-fledged adult woman, you might just be known as a first and last name. The Chaldean, I like that system because it says you take the name you're most known by.
As an adult or as you age in life.
Yeah. So I'm going to give you an example. Here is your name. You see it under, this one is under the, let's see. Whoops.
Pythagorean.
Yeah, Pythagorean system. So that name adds up to a 9. Now, 9 in the name is global, universal, international. 9 in the name tells me they normally have a very good opinion of themselves. Thank you. 9 in the name tells me, because see, the name we're given often reflects the zodiac signs of one of our parents. So my name, Lloyd, is an 18, just like yours, Tammy. And so what happens is 9 governs the sign of Aries. That's my dad. 9 governs the sign of Scorpio. That's my brother. And 9 is extremely friendly to the zodiac sign of Leo, which is my sister, or anybody born on the 9th, the 18th, or the 27th of the month. But then when you look at the Chaldean system, Tammy is a 5. Now, 5 tells me on one hand that one of your parents could have been a Gemini or a Virgo or born on the 5th, the 14th, or the 23rd of the month. But the point is the name is like the teacher. So as you are, since we'll take the 9 from the Pythagorean system. So that means if you meet anybody that come into your life under that sign, you wind up symbolically being their teacher, which meant that if I was one of those signs, I could say, well, you know what? As a result of being around Tammy, I learned a lot from the experience of being in her presence, her life's experience and things of that nature. 9 in the name, like yours and mine, tells me we have a very good opinion of ourselves. We are fighters. We are global, universal, international. We exhibit universal love. We get along with all humanity. We don't care what color they come in, what size they come in, what gender they come in, what economics they come in. We are human beings. That is the purpose of a 9, okay? 5 represents people who are multi-talented, multi-dimensional, multifaceted. 5 in a name like Tammy under the Chaldean system tells me you don't have much patience. You don't like repeating yourself too many times, okay? It's like, honey, how many times have we had this conversation, okay? Are
So
you listening?
True. Yes.
So, and so I enjoy this. And what it does is it helps the person understand who they are. When you talk about a love of numbers, if you look at the Chaldean system, look at the 4s. You got 3 4s that you talked about, the triple 4s.
Yep.
4 rules numbers. They are your accountants, your engineers, your mechanical mathematical scientists. They like to doodle with numbers. They can remember birthdays, phone numbers, license plate. There is something about them and numbers that work well. You would be one of my best numerology students just from your name alone. I'd have you say, Tammy, you sit right here in the front row. Because I know you're getting that.
Well, I am forever a student of life, especially with things like this, because again, it's a roadmap. Hello.
Yeah. And 4 in a name, and see, 1 4 is average in a name. You've got 3 of them. 4 I call the number of secret enemies. Why? Jealousy, envy, insecurity. What happens is that I call 4 the visionary number. 4 people with 4s in their name are ahead of their time. They'll say something in the moment, but people won't get until later on. And I would say to you, Tammy, the only person who would understand you is probably a girlfriend when you was in elementary school. And she said, Tammy, that sounds just like you with your crazy self. She knows you're not crazy. She knows since you two were kids that you will say or do something and eventually it will come to pass.
Yeah, that's very interesting and very, very accurate.
Yeah, yeah. Fours are always ahead of their time. But in the moment, it causes people who like, well, how did she know that? And how did she do that? And this is why I tell people a lot of fours in their names, such as yours, you cannot always tell people in advance what your intention. They will hear what you're saying, but they don't get it. It's like a reading score. Can you read the word? Yes. But now the comprehension part, do you understand what you just read? Well, that's you.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, I always talk about, I mean, because knowledge is one thing, but to really understand it and implement it into your life so you can actually move forward with it is totally different. I call it knowledge and wisdom. There's a difference.
Yes, it is. Very, very much so. And once you understand that, so this way, my whole thing is to really help. That's why they come to me in the first place. They want help and guidance, and I do my best. I mean, I bend over backward, and I talk in a way that makes common sense. One time when I was studying this in the earlier stages, I went in to this lecture by a guy named Joe Christopher. He had played for the New York Mets back in the day, and he was into numerology. He spoke in such a highfalutin language. I walked out of there and I said, and I'm from New York, okay? And so that made me say, okay, Lloyd, your goal is to keep it simple. When you talk to the layperson, now, if I'm going to a numerology convention, as I said, we'll talk all these fabulous terminologies and stuff like that. But when you're dealing with an average person, I try to keep it simple. As they say, keep it simple, Simon.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things. I resonate with that too, and that's one of the things that I know that I am here to do as I tap into my spiritual work, which is it's really to help people that are not there yet to understand it on a simple level and then get deeper with it because it has to start simple. You can't just dive into all this. It's infinite. There's so much to it. You can't just explain it in one simple conversation. It's an evolvement and it's ever evolving. You never master it. You just practice it, right?
Yeah, yeah. And there's always something to learn. For example, each number rules a part of the body. One day I'm sitting here at my table and I wrote the number two, and all of a sudden it's shaped like the intestines of the stomach. Well, in numerology, the two rules the stomach and digestive tract, or
Mm-hmm.
people that are very sensitive or particular about their eating habits or dietary laws. With the number three, especially the women I notice, very rarely do they wear makeup because normally their skin is very, very sensitive to things, sensitive to foods. So if you do makeup, it's very, very little. If your husband is taking you out on a date, more than likely it's very minimal, a little blush maybe, but not, you know how some women are just caked up.
Oh yeah, that's not
That doesn't
me. No,
do you.
I'm very
That
natural that
doesn't do
way.
you. Mm-mm, mm-mm. Because and each number rules an area of the body. The one that I like the most is the number six. Their complement is sunlight, fresh air, and a little brisk activities, all complement of Mother Nature. For five, for example, because it rules the nervous system when they're under a lot of pressure, they experience some twitching around the mouth or the eyes. That's Mother Nature's way of telling them to slow down. So
Mm.
each number from one to nine has a health tendency. And this helps me solve something. For example, a person will come to me and says, my birth certificate says this, my mother says that. Well, I'm going to go with the mother. I have six children, okay? I saw all my children born. That's something a mother doesn't forget, trust me. But it's all these kinds of things that happens. They will say my name is spelled this way, but my mom says my name is spelled another way. I've seen it all. In all the 40 odd years I've done this, I've seen just a little bit of all of this in terms
Wow.
of experiences. And my goal is always to help the person understand. So when they walk away, they're so much better. Because see, they can run from everybody, but they can't run from themselves. So my
Mm-hmm.
goal is to make sure that they know exactly who they are, that they're not crazy, or things like that. For example, ones, threes, and fives in a name, I consider the youthful number. When I see those numbers in a woman's name, it tells me they either don't look their age, act their age, or feel their age. Thus, if they attract much younger men, because women are made to feel guilty now. As a guy, we can take much younger women. We just being guys. You women want to date somebody 9 months younger. Then we want to call you out your name. We want to call you a cougar, this, that, and the other. So my whole thing is to make a woman feel normal about herself.
Mm-hmm.
Why should she feel guilty?
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
So
yeah.
if she attracts younger men, and my attitude, as I tell all women in that case, it is better to have love than no love at all.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's all we're here to do is give and receive love. That's all we
That's it.
are. We're beings of
That's
light and
it.
love. That's all it is.
Yeah, that's it. So these are some of the experiences I share, and it's so nice. It's nice to read children, their potentials. To me, they should have this in all the schools, especially in college where you got guidance counselors, or high school where you got guidance counselors. So, for example, let's say five is a restless number. So if a child has a lot of fives in their name and can't sit still, I understand. What you do is therefore you give them activities. A child with a lot of twos are very patient. So yes, they can sit still. This is why if you know, so every child isn't just one makeover, one broad brushstroke. They're all individuals with their own individual little nuances to them. Two children, for example, are very huggable. They're lovable. They need a hug twice a day. Uh, Nine children are the fighters. You know, you'll get a call about one of your children. Well, he was talking about my mother in the schoolyard, and I decided to beat him up because he was talking about he's probably the number nine child. You know, so
Mm.
every child. So in my book, I talk about children. I talk about relationships. I talk about the best time to marry. I mean, I do it all. I really am into really making my contribution on this planet towards humanity. That is my goal and objective.
Yeah, well, you want to help people, like you said, have guidance on how to live their best life and to find joy and understand themselves, right? So they can be more
Yes,
forgiving towards why they behave a certain way. It's part of who they are.
yes, that's what I'm saying. And because we are so busy looking at Taylor Swift or Beyonce, whatever, as if they're going to come and pay your mortgage, okay, or your car note, they're not going to do none of that. So since you can't, you have to deal with who you are. You can't be anybody else. That's why I said you can run from people, but you cannot run from yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You can hide within yourself, but you can't run from yourself. And it took me a long time to even love myself, you know? But all of this came as a result of understanding, yes, Lord, that's what makes you this way. Yes, that's why you seem strange to other people. And I've accepted and embraced that as part of what my makeup is, as long as it doesn't spill over into other people and their concerns, because we all have our challenges, good, bad, or indifferent.
Yeah, yeah. Well, like you said, it's giving you a way to find your self-compassion and understanding who you are. That's so huge to be able to not just for yourself so you can live a forgiving life of yourself and acceptance of yourself, but then naturally you do that of others. You don't judge them. You realize that they have their roadmap too. They have the things that they have about them that you don't necessarily resonate with, but it is who they are. So if you can
Yeah.
understand that truly is just who they are, then you can accept and have compassion for them, where their weaknesses are, where their struggles are, or where their talents and strengths are.
Well, that's why Shakespeare says, to thine own self be true. And you can't be anybody else. But we're in a culture that we're trying to imitate this person. And then we want to know why we're kind of not really happy with ourselves because we're trying to imitate somebody we're not. So why
Exactly.
don't we be ourselves? It's so simple. It may take
Yeah.
a little work, but is it worth it? Oh yeah.
Well,
I'm here to.
like you were saying, I feel like if they could incorporate this in children in school, if it was a normal practice, it would change everything because these kids that have all this pressure on them and no you put a kid in a school and there's a curriculum. Well, I'm sorry, but not all kids fit into that, right? They need
Thank
different
you.
ways of
Thank you.
learning, and the only way
Yes.
they can learn is the way that resonates with them as who they are and how they learn. So if we knew
Mhm.
this about children, oh my gosh, the kids would excel, and then they wouldn't have low self-esteem and they wouldn't feel threatened. They wouldn't be afraid. They wouldn't do all the things that they do in our culture that happens. And the parents too. It's like you wish you could teach this in all the parents and say, understand your children. I have 4 kids too. I have 4 boys. And so you understand your children so much more because you understand that's why I've had their charts read. Because I want to know who they are. So
I have my students share that too. We're on
yeah,
the same page. We are on the same page. Yes, we do.
yeah.
Because that's how we guide them. And that's how, because our goal is to make our children better adults. And so I taught my children, because nine is my name, which is universal global. I taught my kids, if you're hanging off the cliff of life, does it really matter who comes and saves you? Their color, their ethnicity, their choice of religion? their economics, as long as you can get up off that cliff, okay?
Yeah,
That's the main thing. And
exactly.
so treat people as a human being. And I think if we learn that, we'd have less wars.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of that, we're now heading into what is called a 9 universal year.
Mm-hmm.
What do I mean? Well, when you add 2024, 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 4 equals 9. Now, 9 is governed by the planet of Mars that governs Aries and Scorpio, respectively, and in a minor way, it complements the sign of Leo. Nines are fighters in life. 9 again, though, represents universal love, brotherly love to the positive. But on the negative side, it rules war, dangers from knives, guns, explosions. So now it's not that people have disagreements with each other. It's almost like people are hating each other, which is like so unhumanitarian as far as I'm concerned. So we got wars over here, we got wars over there. When really, if you look at the whole global set of the universe, most people want peace,
Right.
not war. So whether it is powers to be that want it, the military industrial complex that want it, but I know this, I can just sense the energies of the climate of things. People want to be at peace. It's hard enough to keep up with food and pay rent and mortgage. And now mortgage insurance is going through the roof and car insurance is going up. Everything is going up except the person's salary. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, you don't need to be a rocket scientist to use the common sense of it. And nobody does it better than Capricorn, an earth sign. That is a business sign. They are very frugal. They know how to either pinch that penny, but they've got good common sense about things. And you don't have to be a Capricorn to see that in the main. I was in a supermarket not too long ago, and one organic lemon was $1.99. And that was just one lemon.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yes.
It's
And don't
crazy.
think people don't know this.
I know, right. Well, that's the thing. It's very real for everyone. But I will say this, going back to the energetic part of this, because universally, astrologically, I mean, this is a universal energetic thing that's happening right now to our existence, right? So we are just simply feeling it. So it's also a level of understanding that, so you can prepare and know how to live through things like this, because it's an energy, just like everything else is an energy, right? So what's happening right now, it's an energy that we have to, like you said, either we have to, kind of armor up and prepare for and be ready for, so we can fight through this and get to the other side, because all we really want is peace. And I don't mean fight in the way of war. I just mean like,
Right, exactly.
just
Exactly.
protect yourself and understand how energetically you can survive this and then thrive on the other side of it, because it will shift. It's constantly shifting. I mean, the energy is constantly shifting in the universe.
Well, what happens is people don't know that there are things that are going on in the heavens, like Pluto is going into Uranus until 2044. And Uranus rules the masses. It rules always a change. And I was saying on Big E's show not too long ago, because of that transition of Pluto into Uranus, that means winners become losers and losers become winners. So those who think they're at the top may not wind up being at the top, and those that have been at the bottom may somehow miraculously go to the top. But anyway, what I'm saying is we have our plans, but the universe has its plans that are more powerful than us.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's energy that's way bigger than us. So
Thank
we're
you.
so egocentric and wrapped up in our own stuff when there's much bigger things at play here, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, much
And so
bigger.
we think we can control things. But how does birds know when to go to Capistrano? Fish know when to swim upstream. Birds know when to migrate from north to south. They're doing it based upon the clock of the energy of the universe. We as man, we think we know everything. We're going to control the weather. We're going to control the universe. We're going to control people. And how silly we are really when you think about it like that, as just simply being humane to one another. I know that's naive. It sounds like even Pollyanna,
No, but
but
it's the
trust
truth.
me, it
It's
would
the
be a much
truth.
better world.
Yes, I know. And like you said, I know people are inherently good because we are souls having a human experience. That's what we are, is love. So we come here and then we have this experience that we get kind of jaded and confused, and all cultures and all things play into that. But it's also part of our path of evolvement as a soul. So we choose this experience, right? Which is also very powerful and
Yeah.
beautiful, even though we find it painful and full of adversity and things that we can overcome and grow from. But when you can really realize the big picture here, it changes your perspective. I always say perspective is everything.
Yes, it is. I wholeheartedly agree. And you know what's very interesting? We can accept the different colors of flowers and birds and dogs and cats, and yet we're made in the highest image of man in different colors, and we seem to have a problem. I don't get it.
It
I
makes no
just don't
sense.
get it.
It makes
I
no
just
sense.
don't get it.
I know. I feel the same way. I just don't it doesn't compute in my brain that that's a thing. I don't understand it.
Yeah, we all need each other. We all have something to bring to the contribution of humanity. Every single individual out here.
So really, I want to ask this question because when you talk about the different numbers that have meanings for people, as you help people understand this for themselves, because people want to understand themselves better,
Mhm.
how is what you get from these numbers and what they mean? Is this like sort of the same piece of astrology that comes in because it's like a chart? You understand. How does that information come in through the numbers? How do you decipher that? How does that work?
That is a great question, Tammy, because the glue between the two of astrology and numerology are the planets. So somebody says to me, they're talking about the planet of the sun. To an astrologer, they say, oh, they must be talking about Leo. To me, as a numerologist, they must be talking about the number one. If they're talking about the planet of the moon, to an astrologer, they're talking about Cancer. To me, they're talking about the number two. If they're talking about Jupiter, they're saying, oh, that must be Pisces or Sagittarius. To me, that must be the number three. If they talk about Uranus, that means they must be talking astrologically about the sign of Aquarius, where to me it's the number four. If they talk about Mercury, the communications planet, for me, astrologically, they must mean either Gemini or Virgo, respectively. For me, they must be talking about the number five. So these planets is what connects the glue between the two. And I found that some of my best students, other than having a lot of fours in their name, like you, young lady, are those that have a background in astrology. Because if they understand the nature of the planet, then it's easy to make the transition over into understanding the numbers.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, because that makes so much sense to me.
Yeah, yeah, that's it.
Wow. So, okay. So when someone comes to you, what do you typically see? I mean, I know it's probably all over the map with what you see and people and new awarenesses around
Mhm.
this, but
Yeah.
give me some examples because I can see some people coming to you and having this new awareness and information that you've given them through these numbers and
Mhm.
how it works
Mhm.
for them in their lives. What have been some of the success stories that you've seen for people that as they've transitioned with this knowledge and understanding to translate it into wisdom to move forward in a better way for themselves? What happens?
Well, one was a famous singer named Jean Carn. She's very known in the music world in terms of jazz and stuff like that. And she came to me, and we did her name, and I added an E to her name. She said after that, her next recording was the best CD that she recorded. And in fact, I actually have her autographed CD to me, the man that added the E to her name. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Then you change the name. So, for example, let's say you come to me and you says, you know, Lloyd, I want to change my name. Okay, and I says, all right. You come back a week later, or I'll come to you a week later, and here it is, and you say, Lloyd, this is Tammy. Yeah, but it's Tami, not Tammy. You know, here's why I'm saying it. People will, let's say you grew up in your neighborhood all your life, and everybody knows you as Tammy, and you come back and you say, girls, my name is now Barbara. That's my sister's name, by the way. They'll say, okay, Tammy, because people are creatures of habit. But what you can do is alter the spelling of the name because each letter sends off a frequency.
Yeah.
Like listening to a radio station, it might be a little staticky. So you kind of turn it till it's crystal clear. You know,
Hmm.
the name Catherine is spelled 24 different ways, for example.
Mm-hmm.
24.
Wow.
Carol is
Really?
spelled some
Wow.
ways. Yes. Some with CATKATHYR, 24 different ways, just the name Catherine alone, you
Hmm.
know? So and I've seen Tammy spell Tammie,
Oh yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
Tami.
Yeah.
So, and the way the letters are, because each letter sets off a frequency or an energy field, as you described it so astutely just earlier ago. And so, what you want to do is you want to get the name in harmony with the birthday. See, because if the birthday indicates why you're here, the name indicates what you know. So, if you can align the two, you become what is called self taught.
Hmm.
Then you're more in the right place at the right time in harmony with the universe. and that's my role.
Wow. Well, you know what's really interesting about you saying that my name? I have said this since I was little. I have never felt like a Tammy ever. My real name is Tamara, and my full name, and I've never ever felt like a Tammy. Like I just haven't. Like even the name of this podcast, the only reason it's called Tammy Tuesday is because Tammy Tuesday was just a choice it was a shift in my life that I made. It was taking time for Tammy to dive into Tammy and give Tammy some love, meaning
Mm-hmm,
myself.
mm-hmm,
So the name,
mm-hmm.
even the name Tammy Tuesday, really has nothing to do with me. It never has had anything to do with me. So even as I see that, it's like, oh yeah, it's removed because that's really not me. So it's really interesting. And what do you see with people like that? Because I'm sure you've heard that before. I really have never felt like a Tammy. Of course, that's what I've gone by my whole life.
Just as each number is friendly. And by the way, I have a numerology app for the phone. It's called a star 8, ASTAR, the number 8. They can get it on Android or Apple. And so when I did the name Tammy, this way under the Chaldean system that has my preferred choice of analyzing a name, it adds up to the number 5. Well, 5 is the direct opposition number to the 3. It's also the direct opposition number to the sign of Capricorn. So if you've never felt that way, that would make sense to me.
Yeah.
So I would play around with your name. I would maybe drop a letter or maybe add a letter to it. And I would tweak it enough where it's still going to be Tammy, but it's going to be more in alignment with your birthday. Because what you want to do is be in the right place at the right time. Because when the name is out of sync with the birthday, you get to a place, you're too early. You get there, you're too late. It's always something. You don't seem to be there on time.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Alignment, you're there on time.
Wow, that makes so much sense. So much sense. Well, it's funny too, even with Capricorn. Yes, I've always been driven and I'm the overachiever, business person, check all the boxes. But even as I've grown spiritually, I do not feel like a Capricorn at all. I'm like, that does not feel like me. Like when they define the Capricorn, I'm like, that just doesn't feel like me.
That's because of the birth number you're born under, which is 3, and 3 rules Jupiter. The only number, the number 8 or Saturn, which governs Capricorn, gets along with is the 3 and the 6, and you possess both. Thus, your numbers are the 3, 8, and 6 in that order. So if I wanted to unlock the safe to get to know you better as a person, I have to come to your safe and dial the tumbler to the 3 first, then the 8, then the 6, then I can open it and get in. It's like going to a convenience store, getting some gas, you decide to play a lottery. Well, if you play these numbers in any other order than the way it is assigned to you according to your birthday, you'll get a piece of money. But if you play it in the right order that's assigned to you, get all the money.
Yeah, it sounds like we need to have like a real reading.
Yes, so it makes a difference. And so for me, I would find this very, very challenging to do. And I would play around with your name. We would still come up with Tammy. Because let's say you say, okay, I'm moving from here, Arizona, whatever, and I'm going to California. And you get off the plane, you say, my name is Tammy. They said, for some reason, you don't look like a Tammy. I don't know if you've ever seen that where the person gives their name, but they don't look like that should be their name.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it happens all the time. I'm like, that doesn't feel right. Yeah.
Yeah. So now Tamara is spelled
Tamara.
Tamara. Okay, hold on 1 second. First of all, the first thing I see is you got a lot of ones in your name. This is a leadership number. 10, 13. So the name Tamara is this way.
Okay.
It adds to 13, which is a 4. So that tells me originally one of your parents could have been an Aquarius or Leo or Gemini, or born on the 1st, the 4th, the 10th, the 13th, the 19th, 22nd, 28th, or 31st of the month. It tells me you like to be different, but the standout in your name, obviously 1, that's a leadership number.
Yeah.
So there may have been times when people think you're bossy or dominant, trying to tell them what to do, but you don't. You know what you want. So you could have been the youngest of the brothers and sisters in the family, but the first to leave home, the first to go to school, the first to finish school. There be something about you that indicates a leadership abilities. 1 in the name tells me 1 has dominion over law, medicine, and science. So you could have done well in the legal field, the medical field, the scientific field, or something closely related to it, or entrepreneurship, or manager, or supervisor, director, or head of a department, or being pushed around. That would not work. You see that lady over there? Don't mess with her.
Well, to some of those points, my dad is an Aquarius. You said that.
Yeah.
I am definitely leadership. That's always been my thing. And I am an entrepreneur at heart. That is just who I am.
Yeah.
100%.
And so people will misinterpret you as, well, she's being aggressive. She's trying to tell me what to do. No, you are being as true to yourself as that next person has to be as true to themselves. This is why I don't let nobody work my nerves. That's why I don't have high blood pressure dealing with people. They have to be as true to themselves as I need to be true to myself. And my whole thing is to help them find out where their niche is, to find that for them, their own comfort zone, while I remain in my comfort zone. And then I give the people the advice, and then whatever they do with it, that's on them.
Another thing.
I have a very good track record of helping people, though.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, going back to that, the ones too, you said I'm the youngest of 5 and I was the first one to graduate from college.
That's what I'm saying. Because I'm looking at all these ones. 1 is a leadership number. They govern the first principle. Yeah. And it tells me to always have a youthful attitude. And 1's are very honest and very direct. Nowadays, if you're honest and direct, people think you're mean.
Yeah, they take offense.
How many ways can we say knucklehead? Okay. It's just that honest. Like in my name, Lloyd Strayhorn, I have 2 1s. My sister, she must have 7 or 8 1s now. I'm older than my sister, but she told me there was no Santa Claus. Broke my heart too. When I was a kid coming up. Junior, there's no Santa Claus. And I mean, she would always appear to be bossy, but only when I got into numerology that I really understood and appreciate my sister. She's not bossy. She's just got all those 1s in her name.
Yeah. Wow.
He's only exhibiting those. Like you ladies say, when something is concentrated, well, anytime a number repeats itself, it becomes more concentrated with each repetition. And it was obvious. And I saw, and other than the 1s in your name, I saw 4s, and 1s and 4s go together because these are sun numbers. The number 1 rules the summer side of the sun. The number 4 rules the winter side of the sun. So you have a very strong astrological, from your name, a very strong sun, Leo presence and Aquarian presence in your name. That should always be different, always be unique, because it adds a 13, which is 4 rules Uranus, which governs the sign of Aquarius. That means you like to be different. You think outside the box. Yeah. So if everybody's doing something one way, trust me, Tammy, or Tamara, you're going to do it another way.
Wow. Well,
people think you're rebellious or you're a maverick or you're a black sheep. No, you're just being true to your energy. That's all it is. Yeah. Imagine this just in high school for guidance counselors and whatnot to help youngsters go to college and children in junior high go to high school and understanding elementary school children, things of that nature. It would make all the difference in the world as against just put them on some medication.
So exactly. There's just so much to it. We just misunderstand each other. That's all that's happening.
That's all it is.
I agree with that.
Just the quick way out.
I know.
Devastation because I've been to schools where childs were medicated and they look so unnatural. Mm-hmm. Every child is active. They say it's a hyperactive child. I've never seen a normal child that wasn't. You got 4 boys, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah. Oh, for 100%.
All over the place.
Yeah.
All over the place. Wrestling, tussling, this, that, and the other. That's their energy.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's not hyper. That's normal boy activities.
Yeah, exactly.
Sons. I know.
Yeah, I know. You have 6 kids. 3 boys, 3 girls?
I have a boy, a girl, a boy, a girl, a boy, a girl.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
You ladies are great. Tammy, don't let us men tell you anything. Y'all are great. We're not going to get up in no stir. We say, you go, honey. You get up there. We got you. Yeah, of course we're going to do that. And this is when I realized, and I try to get men to see the importance, because when a woman gives birth, that is the closest she is to death. I've had clients who they lost their mother giving birth to them. So we guys don't understand that. So we men need to be taught these things too, to appreciate what women have to do to bring us into this world. This is why you don't see women going to war. You see men. We want to blow this world of kingdom come. Now, women will get catty with each other. I'll admit that. Okay. But you don't see no women trying to take out other nations and blowing other countries of kingdom come. No. Name me any place where women have done that. You cannot.
Isn't that interesting?
I think it's very interesting. They say women can't drive, but why is your car insurance cheaper than mine? Why is your life insurance
Exactly.
cheaper than mine? See, guys don't have no answers for that. I'm kind of letting some of the
For sure.
guys get back, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
and we need to step back as men and take a look at the value of our women. We need you. Without women, we don't come into the world. Because a woman could say, listen, I think we're going to cut your life short. Okay. That's why the abortion issue is such a big issue in politics nowadays. A woman can make that choice. So when I see sons or anybody abuse their mothers, and I've seen that too, because this is a crazy world out here.
Yeah.
I'm saying, don't they realize their mother could have terminated them, but they didn't have to go through none of this? Don't they realize this? So there's a lot to learn. And I know I'm very naive to be my age, but like, hey, that's how I think though.
Yeah. No, I understand that. Well, I always relate it back to just the fact that at a soul level, we are not male nor female. We are just energy, and we have both energies. So we come here with our path and what we are, what we chose to come here as, and develop in that way, whether we're male or female in this body, right? And what we do. But honestly, it's all about the balance.
Yeah.
It's about the balance.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's the whole thing. You know, because some people have asked me, Lloyd, how do you know when a number is bad? To me, it's simple. If you are causing destruction or mayhem or blocking people's blessings or being mean-spirited in your actions, obviously that's on the negative side of the number. I don't, you know, so yes, we come with positives, we come with negatives, but my goal is to always get the person to see the more positive, thus by being in the right place at the right time in harmony with the universe. There's less resistance, there's less wear and tear on their bodies, their soul, their spirit, much less their pocketbook.
Right. In every aspect of everything.
Everything. And life gets easier. Life is tough enough as it is. So why not step in lockstep with the universe? All the lower species of birds and bees and fish and cattle and all that, they know how to time it with nature. And we're made in man's greatest image. And yet we seem very much off key, especially with each other.
It's fascinating because everything else around us is in perfect alignment.
Yeah.
But us. But the human experience, somehow it's part of our path, but it is fascinating to see because everything around us is in perfect harmony. I mean, it really is. Even though we may see it differently, it really is. The earth is going to keep going whether we're here or not. The earth is alive.
Yeah. There's a Malthusian theory, which means that man may think they're going to blow them to kingdom come, but the earth could swallow up nuclear plants just like that.
That's what I'm saying.
Like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do know what you're saying.
People
I
don't
find
get
it comical.
it.
We think we have so much power. No, we don't.
I'm going to always give credit to the stars in the heavens and the constellation, the movements of the stars. Yes. They are what shape our lives and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, that's the beauty of understanding astrology and how it really works. I love this conversation. I think you're amazing, and I'm so grateful that you are here. What is the best way for people to engage with you? I don't know if you still do individual readings or how that works, but what's the best way for people?
Readings, I have free newsletter, and I also do it monthly on YouTube, where they can either read the newsletter or hear me explain it in a verbal thing. It's totally different. Speaking it and writing it is two different art forms I've learned. They can go to Linktree/numbersandyou. That's linktr.ee/numbersandyou. They can get my audiobooks. They can sign up for my online courses on Udemy. As I said, I have over 7,000 students on every continent across this planet. Free newsletters. But for the most part, they should download my app, Astar8, ASTAR, the number 8. So think of a star in the heavens with an 8 attached to it, because if you lay the 8 on the side, that's the number of infinity without beginning and end.
Yep.
So Astar8 is available or go to astar8.com, ASTAR, the number 8.com, and load it in from your Google store or your Apple store, and you'll see your lucky numbers. You'll see your stress numbers. You'll see me do the daily forecast. I got a lot of things, cars, compatibilities for business clients. I put a lot into it. There's a lot of love I put into it.
I love it. Clearly, you really want to help people. That's your purpose. You really want to help people understand this so they can come to that exact point of synchronization and understand how to live easier, right?
Yeah. Life is tough enough.
Right.
You might as well get in harmony as best you can.
That's right. Well, numbers can certainly help you and guide you in that way. So thank you, thank you, thank you. You're an amazing soul. I just love your energy. You're so fun to be around.
Thank you.
I hope to get to meet you in person someday.
Well, who knows? And in fact, are you in Arizona, I believe?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, because I want to make plans at some point next year to come and visit Eric and Alana.
Oh, good.
And the area, because that's how I found out about you.
Yeah.
And just as nice I can get to meet you and your family. I can read your boys and whatever. I'm curious though, are any of your boys born in and around the months of January, March, May, October, or December? Because those are your 5 best months. Or did you conceive them in and around January, March, May, October, or December?
Well, I have a February birthday, a March birthday, April. They're all in order. So I'm December, my husband's January, then I have February, March, April.
See, in March, that
And
means
June. And in June, I have a Cancer as well.
So that means with the one in February, for example, you can see them in May, for example, which is none of my business.
Right.
I am so nosy.
No, it's okay. Trust me, if you met my husband, you'd understand it's totally fine.
What month and day is he born? Let me just tell you a little bit about your husband before I signed off. What month and day is he born?
He is January 26th.
He's an 8.
Okay.
He's a Capricorn 8. He's born the same day as actor Paul Newman and Eartha Kitt and a couple of famous people of note.
Yeah.
2 plus 6 is 8. Your numbers are the 3, 8, and 6. His numbers are the 8, 4, and 1. 8 people are normally very loyal as a result.
Yes.
They're very pragmatic. They're very grounded. 8 people initially appear to be detached because it's governed by Saturn, the winter planet. So people think they have no feelings. They're detached. They're not emotional and stuff like that. But yet they're very warm and loyal and faithful.
Oh, yeah.
If you know that. So when I talk to a number 8 person, in fact, my mother was born on the 26th of the month. And I tell them if I had to hang a motto over the door, to know a number 8 is to love a number 8. And that's how they are.
Yeah.
8 people are very intense. They're very dedicated. Intense to the point they'll have headaches or concerns with the knees, the teeth, or the bones, because each number rules as sign a part of the body. Mm-hmm. Of that nature. So since y'all have the 8 in common, y'all may have went out on your first date on a late Friday night into Saturday, or Saturday into Sunday, which is none of my business, or somewhere around the months of that y'all have in common, which would be January, February, or the month of October when y'all first went out, or when he first proposed to you, you know?
That actually October, he proposed in October. No, is that right? Oh my gosh, we've been married 23 years, so I can't even remember. We celebrate 23 years next month.
But a lot of people don't even want to be married 23 days, so that says a lot nowadays.
Yeah, well, loyal he is certainly. He's very, very loyal.
Oh, there's no question. You have a friend for life, and when he looks to the heavens for divine justice and feel he's right, your husband's not budging at all. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's very true. People that know. And he's also very likable, and he's hilarious. He's a lot of things. He's amazing.
Very lucky. You're very lucky. No wonder you've been together 23 years. So
yes.
His numbers are 8, 4, and 1. So if you got any children, if any of your boys got 4s or 1s or 1s and 4s, that means they would lean more toward their dad. But if they've got 3s and 6s, which are your numbers, that means they'll look more like you. So out of your 4 boys, some will probably look more like him.
There's 2 and 2 personalities and sort of looks too.
Yeah. So it's amazing. I mean, I could do this all day long.
I know. I love it. Well, again, thank you so much, Lloyd. I'm so grateful for you. I can't wait to talk with you more offline and just get to know you. You're such a pleasure. And I highly encourage you all to pick up this book, Numbers in You. I know it's one of his older ones, but it's a gem. He's got 6 other books, so make sure you check his stuff out.
This is my newest book.
Okay.
This is Lloyd's Book of Numbers, the numerology guide for the 21st century and beyond. This is my relationship book, Lloyd's Numbers in You, a relationship guide, the blueprint to happiness and joy. And this is my workbook that they use across the country, Lloyd's Numbers in You workbook, a numerology guide.
I love it.
So they're in different colors. I like that. I like colors. So it's easy to pick.
They're beautiful. You know? They're beautiful. I love it. So I encourage all of you. I know there are people listening that this will resonate with for sure, because numbers are so powerful, and they speak to you, I encourage you to reach out to Lloyd, get a reading, understand more about yourself and your path, and really dive in, because truly this man he's been doing it a long time, and he has a lot of amazing wisdom and knowledge to share with you. So I encourage you to reach out. All of his details will be in the description below. So thank you for that. And make sure you tap in. If you're listening, you can also view this on YouTube. I record these audios as well, so you can watch us if you'd rather see us in person talking on my YouTube channel, Tammy Tuesday. If you want other information, I have my website, tammytuesday.com, as well as my social media links at Tammy Tuesday Life. So please check all of those out if you want more information on what we do. I do also offer my heart energy healing sessions if you're interested in that, tapping more into your heart to get more understanding as to why you're here, which is what this is all about. And always sending you all with lots of love and light. And remember, life, love, and purpose, it all begins with you. Peace out.